But I want to go back to Wireshark and I want to examine this in Wireshark in more detail. What can we see here? Well, in Wireshark, the DHCP discover message is definitely a broadcast. Can you see that? Look at the source MAC address. It's 06D6 PC1. Look at the destination MAC address. It's all Fs. All Fs. That's the broadcast MAC address within a frame. And if we examine the layer 3 information, so the packet information, notice that the packet is broadcast as well. The source is the all zeros IP address because PC1 doesn't have an IP address yet, and the destination IP address is the all 255's broadcast IP address. If we look in the user datagram protocol information, so higher up, transport layer, we can see here that we are using UDP for communications, and the source port is a boot PC, port 68, and the destination port is boot PS, port 67. So the DHCP server is listening on port 67 for these DHCP discover messages. And the only way a device is going to listen on that port is if the DHCP service is enabled. So although this was a broadcast going out, yes, every device will receive it, but only the DHCP servers will process it and do something about it. So what do they do with it? Well, they analyze it, and they realize that it is a DHCP discover message, so therefore some device is looking for IP addressing information. So what it does is it reserves an IP address for this client. So in this case, it reserved 10.11.34 for PC1, and it also associated the subnet mask with that, the default gateway with it, any other options that it's supposed to give out as well. All of that has been packaged up into a DHCP offer message. And this is a unicast message, and we clearly see that when we look at the layer 2 frame that has been captured. It is coming from a source MAC address, a specific source MAC address. In this case, it's the DHCP server, and the destination is 06D6. So it's a unicast frame going from the server to the PC. If we examine the layer 3 information, the source is the DHCP server at 10.1.1.1, and look at the destination. The destination is 10.1.1.34. Who has 10.1.1.34? Well, no one yet. But the DHCP server is anticipating that PC1 will be using 10.1.1.34, so it's sending it directly back to 10.1.1.34, even though the PC is not technically using it at this point in time. But look at the source and destination port. It's being sent from the boot PS server port that the DHCP server is using, going to that destination port of 68 that the client was using for the communication process. And we're still using UDP here. Once the client receives this unicast DHCP offer, it examines it, it processes it, and then it has to tell the server that it is an IP address and subnet mask and default gateway and all the other fancy information. It wants it. It wants to keep it. It wants to use it. And this is what the DHCP request is for. However, it's still a broadcast, as you can see from the frame. It's sourced from PC1 in our example 06D6, and it's going to the all Fs MAC address because we still truly, fully have not 100% confirmed that this is the IP address we're going to use, and as a result, this is the destination MAC address that's going to be utilized for the process as well. And the thing is that there could be multiple DHCP servers on the network. And if there's multiple DHCP servers on the network, we can receive multiple offers. And as a result, we broadcast this request out so that way their other DHCP servers can hear and see this DHCP request and realize that, oh, wait, they went with somebody else. They decided not to go with us. And then that way there they can reserve that IP address that they had reserved for PC1 as well. If we look further down, we'll see here that it's still sourced from all zeros and destined to all 255. So PC1 is still not using that IP address because it hasn't received an acknowledgement back from the DHCP server indicating that, yes, it's now been 100% fully reserved for you to use. Nobody else can use it. And that's what the DHCP acknowledgement's all about. Telling the client that everything's good to go. Use that particular IP address and subnet mask and default gateway and all the other options that we gave you. It's all yours now. I've reserved it for the specific lease duration that is set up in our DHCP pool. So that is the DORA process. And you want to remember DORA. DHCP Discover, which is a broadcast, DHCP Offer, which is unicast, DHCP Request, which is broadcast, and DHCP Acknowledgement, which is unicast.